Change of scenery. Yeah, this is not permanent decor. Although, this mirror, Goodwill, $7. Yeah. So, I have moved, and it's been a long process. It's why I've been posting a lot less frequently lately, but I'm excited to settle back in, get into my regularly scheduled stuff again. I tried to cut my own bangs, and it didn't go well. They're not styled right now, and then when I do style them, I feel like I just can't do it right, and it looks bad every time. So, I'm struggling to get organized today. It literally took me so long to figure out the lighting because this apartment, we have skylights. They make this really horrible light on only my forehead, and then my face is in shadow. Let me show you. Like this. So, ring light really helps. But today I wanted to get on here and kind of catch up because I didn't post a reading wrap up for. I've got to look at my channel. I do not remember. It's crazy if I missed 2 months. No, I haven't posted a wrap up for February or March. And I've been reading. I just haven't had the time to talk about it. So what I'm going to do is just go through kind of quickly, just chat about the books that I have read. Would I recommend? Would I not? I'm just going to use good old Goodreads. I don't even have like crazy thorough notes because I just have not had time. But we got it, okay? Some of these books I forgot that I read. That's so exciting. Okay, stop. So the first books that I read in February were the first two books in the Lunar Chronicles series, which is a young adult sci-fi fantasy series. You know, emphasis on young adult. I think you would really enjoy these books if you're in like middle school. That's prime time. I would have just died if I read these in middle school. So they were still fun, but that's coming from someone who does enjoy reading young adult from time to time. Like, some people just might not be able to get past the young adult feel of these books. They are cute. I like them. But yeah, anyway, the first one is Cinder. That one I didn't like as much as the second one, which is Scarlet. And these are based off of classic fairy tales. Our main character is Cinder, who is Cinderella, and she's half cyborg, half human. She's actually, no, I'm not going to say that because that's a spoiler. It's a good time. And I like this too because they are retellings of classic fairy tales, but it's not afraid to change things up. And it also is a young adult series that's not afraid to have darker subject matter, I guess. People die. And I like that in a book because if nobody ever dies, is it really high stakes? It's not. Cinder, I gave 3 stars, and Scarlet got 4 stars. I feel like Scarlet took the good things from Cinder and emphasized them. Cinder was just like lacking something. I will be reading the rest of the series, but I might wait a little bit to pick it up again. We'll see. Oh god. The next book that I read was Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and it certainly was a book. It had words, and they were on the pages. I would say this book is bad, and I wouldn't recommend it. If you would instead read The Hunger Games, you would get the same thing out of it, except it would be like 10 times better. You could also read Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire and get some of the same elements or really enjoy it. I've heard Red Queen as well, but I haven't read that book, so I can't really speak to that. But yeah, this book is just like, I won't say straight up plagiarism. It's not plagiarism, but it took clear inspiration, and it's like, it took the ideas and it didn't transform them. I think in general, you can take ideas from other stories, you can take concepts from other stories, that's fine, but like, you have to transform them. You can't just copy and paste 6 different book elements together and say, that's good. The only thing that was done kind of well in this was the banter between the main character and one of her love interests. Yes, there's like a love triangle in this, except it's not. If you can't tell, I really didn't enjoy this. I also felt like the writing style was really clunky. Like, when I first started reading it, I would just get taken out of the book. Like, I would read a sentence and then I'd be like, what? And I'd have to reread it like twice, and then I'd be like, oh, I see what they're trying to say. I just feel like punctuation was not used well in this book, but it might just be me. It is something that I got used to though as I kept reading. Like, after I got through the first couple chapters, I adapted to the writing style, and then I was like, okay, I know what's up now. But like, I don't know, overall, it was just not that good, and you should read The Hunger Games instead. 2 stars, by the way. It's a book talk book. It doesn't have any smut if you're looking for a fun little book like that. Like, it was fun, you know? I won't say it wasn't fun, but it was just so repetitive and uninventive and unimaginative that I was like, you know? The next book I read was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I have a bone to pick with TikTok right now over this book because I saw so many people read this book, and they were like, this book is so good. It would have been 5 stars, but there was some questionable interspecies stuff. And I was like, oh, because if you don't know, this book is a romance between a vampire and a werewolf. And I was like, is he gonna turn into a literal dog? Is that the weirdness? And I was concerned. And I forgot about that after a couple months. And when I picked this book up, I remembered it after I read the first chapter. I was like, oh shoot. The entire time I was reading, I was like, oh, is it gonna happen now? Is it gonna happen now? It did not happen because you all are drama queens. It's literally not that serious. It's literally not that serious. My guy, he doesn't turn into a dog. Well, he does, but he doesn't do it any times that are suspicious. You know what I'm saying? He turns into a dog casually. It's fine, okay? The only weird interspecies thing is that his dingaling is shaped different. And it's like, yeah, you're reading a book about 2 monsters. So what do you expect? Anyway, besides that, this book had all of the fun, quirky writing that is typical of Ali Hazelwood novels, minus the last 2 books, because we'll talk about this later. But this is like a traditional Ali Hazelwood kind of book, except it's not STEM. But like, our character is still smart. So I really enjoyed this. It's dumb, you know, but when you pick up an Ali Hazelwood book, I feel like you can kind of expect it to be dumb to some extent, especially when it's about a romance and a werewolf in an arranged marriage. Also, I was so worried when I was reading this. I was like, oh, he's gonna do the like, I'm the alpha thing, and it's gonna be horrible. But no, they handled it in such a good way. Like, I read the first chapter and I was scared. I was like, oh, don't know if I can get through this book. But I read through the first chapter, I continued, and I was like, okay, I forget his name. It's like Lon. It's not Lon. Ugh, ugh. It starts with an L, I think. The guy, he's actually a great book boyfriend. I would totally recommend. I totally recommend this book. If you don't mind a dingaling being like a dong-along, you'll be fine. It was fun. It was cute. I gave it 4 stars. I just love a classic Ali Hazelwood book, you know? Okay, moving on. Completely changed up the vibe. I read The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. It's book 1 in the Bloodsworn saga, and this is a high fantasy. It's very gritty, I guess I would say. Like, it's kind of gruesome and in your face about it. It's, you know, there's some intense deaths in this book. It's gross. So, if you don't like reading that, then don't pick this up. But I will say that I feel like John Gwynne balanced it well, where you'll have a really gruesome thing and then the next chapter is like a little more chill. So, I don't know. But it's just, this book is nice. We've got a lot of great characters. One of them is like a middle-aged mother, and she's called Orca Skull Splitter. It's really good. So, love her. It's a very good book. I actually just got book 2. It's in the glove box in my car. I forgot to bring it up, but loving it. I gave it 4 stars, but I think it's probably more like 4.5. I'm looking at Goodreads, so I don't see the half stars, but I think 4.5 totally. Literally such a good fantasy. This is not something that's going to be a fast, fun read. This is just like a masterpiece. Like, you can just, so much research went into this. It's beautiful. I love it. And I'm very excited for book 2. I'll go ahead and move on. Also, if you want to hear a little bit more about some of these books, I talked about them a lot more in depth in my 24-hour reading challenge, which is my previous video before this. Feel free to check that out. Anyway, the next book that I read, The Gunslinger by Stephen King. Guys, sometimes I feel like there's an author and they have success and everybody loves them, and then at some point, every single book that they put out, just like, it can't have any issues. Like, nobody complains, even if it's not very good. But you know that this is just my personal opinion. I didn't like this book. It felt like somebody was on a hallucinogen and they were just like writing down their entire experience, and it was special. It just wasn't my reading experience. It was well written, the imagery was nice, but it just, and this was kind of like my last straw with Stephen King, you know? I read it and I was like, yeah, you know, I like some of his books a lot, but others I just don't. And I also think that he's kind of gross sometimes. Like, he just uses nasty terminology, and usually I'll excuse that if it's a horror book because he's trying to unsettle you, but this is not horror, so like, I just don't really get it. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna go out of my way to read Stephen King. If somebody reads one of his books and they really like it, and I trust their opinion, and I know that we have similar tastes, maybe I'll try it, but I'm not just gonna pick his books up at random anymore. Except maybe a couple horror books around Halloween. But like, in general, I just don't need to. From here on out, I just went crazy with the silly little rom-coms. I read Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. Now, this is book 3 in the When in Rome series. I didn't know that, so I read it. And honestly, I think that it works as a standalone, and I'm excited to read the first 2 now that I have read these. But it's like, yeah, I didn't know it was book 3. And I did this with another one of her series too, because I have discovered Sarah Adams is one of my favorite rom-com writers. I really enjoy her work. Beg, Borrow, or Steal got like 4.5 stars for me. Listen, there is a scene in this book. They're writers. They're both writers. They're also teachers. And at one point, he's critiquing one of her scenes in her romance novel. Just trust me, you need to have this reading experience. You need to have it. And another great thing about Sarah Adams, if you're someone who cares about this, is that some of her books contain suggestive scenes, but it never gets into like nitty-gritty details, and it's always very brief. And some of her books don't even have any of that. This one has like slight suggestive stuff in it, but like, the only thing is that there's a scene where he's on a motorcycle and they're like driving and she's like, oh, he's on a motorcycle. I don't get that. Also, his aesthetic is just not for me either, personally. But some people will really like it. If you really like boys who like, they wear the like bead necklaces and they paint their nails and sometimes they do a little eyeliner, you might like this. I don't think he wears eyeliner, but like he just gives that vibe. He gives the artsy guy vibe. After I read that book, I said, I need more Sarah Adams right now. So I read The Rule Book. It's between a sports manager and a football player. And I was like, I don't like sports or football. I know football's a sport, but like specifically, I don't like football. So I was a little concerned, but trust me, if you've ever watched Haiku, it's a volleyball anime. I don't care about volleyball at all, but like Haiku will make you care. You will enjoy yourself. And this book is the same way. It doesn't matter if you don't like sports, you will like this book. It's just, I gave it 5 stars. I love Sarah Adams. She's so good. She's so good. The scenarios are like kind of fun and ridiculous. It's just great. Dude, the rulebook goes so hard. It's so insane. And that's another one where that's book 2, and I didn't know that. I didn't even realize that. I've read so many of her series out of order now. It works though as a standalone, but it's like, I didn't realize. The next book that I read, Twisted Love by Anna Huang. The book talk girlies lied to me. They lied. They're delusional. They are ill. What? If you want to see my reaction to this book, watch the 24-hour reading vlog. This is one of the most insane books I've ever read. Literally insane. I didn't like this book, but it was so absurd and like entertaining in a bad way that I had to finish it. It didn't matter that it was bad. It was just like so ridiculous that it was entertaining. So I kept reading it, but it's just terrible. This book got 2 stars. The only reason I gave it 2 stars is because it was entertaining enough for me to continue reading. Like, it drew me in. And I think that if a book draws me in, that's something that should be recognized, but like, it was just bad. It was on the verge of a 1-star rating. The next thing I read, a nice little palate cleanser, was To Catch a Suitor by Sarah Adams, which is book 2 in the Dalton family series. I didn't know. It's fine. I'm excited to read book 1 though, because I have a guess at who the main characters are going to be, and I think that I will very much enjoy reading that. This was fun. It was fine. I think it's one of her earlier books, so it didn't have quite the same spark as the Rulebook or Beg, Borrow, or Steal, but it was still good. I gave it 3 stars. If you read all of her other books and you're like, man, I want to read another one, you could pick it up, but I would pick up one of her other ones first, honestly. Next, I read The Off Limits Rule by Sarah Adams. I told you, I went crazy with Sarah Adams. I was enjoying myself so much. This book, okay, she's a single mom. It's so cute. It's also Forbidden Love because it's brother's best friend. Very fun. I gave this book 4 stars. I look back on these memories very fondly. It was so good. And then I got onto a Carley Fortune binge. I read, what's it called, like last summer or something? This Summer Will Be Different. I read that a while ago, gave it 3 stars. It was fine. Anyway, I thought I'll give her another chance. I have been road tripping a lot because I've been moving. I was driving back and forth between where I used to live and where I now live several hours, and audiobooks were happening. So I said, it's available. Let me read it. Well, listen to it. So Meet Me at the Lake by Carley Fortune is one that I picked up, and this is how I feel about a lot of her books. Like, it was good, the writing was good, but then the dude was just not that likable. And it was also just kind of like a bit of an absurd situation. So she met the guy for 24 hours while they both had partners. And then they like made a connection, and then they were going to meet at the lake, but then he never showed up. And then years and years later, they re-encounter each other and are navigating that. It has darker themes. Our main character is grieving, and it was good. I enjoyed it, but it was like I felt this way about this book and one of her other books, but it feels like the characters had more of a connection in the past than they actually do in the present. Her books are often second chance romances. I just didn't really buy it the second time around, I guess. Her characters, they're kind of realistic and that they're like a mess. Anyway, I gave it 3 stars. It's probably more like 3.5. It was good, but I don't think that I would read it again. And if I were to recommend one of her books to someone, it would be this next one that I read by her, not that one. The next book that I read was Every Summer After by Carley Fortune. This one I really, really enjoyed the POV of their childhood selves. This is a romance between childhood best friends who had like a falling out. I lost sleep over this book because they were so bad to each other. It just irritated me, and it made no sense because they loved each other so much and then they hurt each other. If you want to read dramatic, disturbing people making mistakes, then you should read a Carley Fortune book because her characters love to make stupid mistakes and then miss out on a bunch of years together. I'm bitter. I really liked the setting in this. It took place at like a lake house for a lot of the book. It felt kind of cozy in a way, and it was also interesting because you were following these characters through their childhood and like puberty and adolescence, and like it was cool, and I feel like it was well executed. I really enjoyed the childhood side. It was wild because you got like their whole childhood, or at least the summers while they were vacationing at the lake house. And then for the adult section of the book, I think it took place over like 3 days or 2 days or something like that. And it was like I just don't like how do they reconnect in 3 days after all of that under the circumstances? Again, grief in this book. It was just another thing where I really like how she writes her characters' pasts, but then I don't necessarily like the love story in the present. But this book was pretty good. Overall, I gave it 4 stars, and if I were to recommend any Carley Fortune books, I guess I would recommend Every Summer After if you want to read something that's going to make you feel things. God, the way that they treat each other, I literally was up because I was anxious about it. I could not sleep. I have insomnia, so I can't read certain things before bed, and this was not a good before bed option. It kept me up and very late. If you want to read something that's fun and more of a heartwarming second chance romance, then I would read This Summer Will Be Different. If you really like her writing after that, then I guess you could pick up Meet Me at the Lake, but I would start with the other 2. I haven't read all of her books by any means, but like, that's where I'm at. The next book that I read was Holes by Louis Sachar. I think that's how you say it. And this is one that like people had to read this for school, and I never picked it up, but it was available and I was driving because I drive a lot for work too. But I listened to it and I really liked this. I feel like this is one of those books that you read and you just never forget the experience. Like, it's so unique. I loved the plotting and the story and the background. The writing is like serious but also playful. And it has so much personality. The personality in the writing kind of reminds me of Dean Koontz, but it's definitely very different. I just really like this book. So I gave it 4 stars. And again, that might be 4.5. I look back on it very fondly. Those are the books that I finished, but I have been attempting to read lots of other books, and it's just not been going well for me. I got Deep End by Hazelwood. I told you we were going to talk about her. I feel like her last 2 books have just kind of not been great for me. Like, I DNF'd both of them. The first one, Not in Love, and it's kind of like a romance of convenience. It's like an accidental romance, and this is kind of the same way. It's just so strange. I'm so used to her characters being very quirky and likable and fun, but then the characters in this book, I was trying to come up with a way to describe their personalities the other day, and I was like, okay, if their personalities were a food, it would be uncooked potato, just like raw potato, because not flavorful, not fun. You could eat it if you had to. It would keep you alive, but like you would eat anything else if you had the option. So probably not dirt. I feel like if these characters were sitting in a room with me, we would like introduce ourselves and then they would both just like stare at the wall. They wouldn't even talk to each other. They would just like be quiet and weird, just strange. This has some more unique smutty stuff in it if you want that, I guess. But it's not even worth it. Like, I feel like you could probably find that in a better book. These characters just suck. I don't really like the story. The entire time she's having this inner struggle, but it's like, then the only reason she kind of overcomes it is because of something that the male main character says to her. And it's like, have some agency of your own, please. Another thing that I didn't mention, the male main character is in a relationship at the start of this book with a girl on the swim team with the main character. And then it's just uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. There's not any disloyalty, but it is uncomfortable. So I'm DNFing this. I only have this much book left, but I have no desire to pick it up again. I don't care about these characters. I don't buy any lick of romance. There is not a lick of romance. There's lust. That's it. I just don't love it, which is a shame because it's so pretty, and I usually am an Allie Hazelwood fangirl diehard, but I just don't. This one is so upsetting. I kept seeing this on TikTok and I was like, okay, you know what? I'll get it. And then I was reading the first chapter and I was like, why is this so familiar? Like, did she plagiarize? Like, did she copy someone else's story? And then I was like, oh no, I've just read this before. I tried to listen to this as an audiobook several months ago and just completely forgot about it, but I DNF'd it. So I bought this book that I have already DNF'd just to read the first chapter and DNF it again. I think that this is better for younger audiences. Like if you're in middle school, probably you would really like this. I mean, I haven't read more than like this far into the book, but it seemed like the type of writing that middle school aged people would like a lot. As someone who's read so much higher quality fantasy, I just, nah, I don't know. Stephanie Garber seems awesome. I see her videos on TikTok a lot, and she seems really nice, and I'm happy that she's having success, and I'm happy that a lot of people enjoy her books. It just personally was not for me. Next, I thrifted this at Goodwill the other day for like $3. It had me in the beginning, like there was a scene in one of the first few chapters, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, this is neat, I like reading about this. But then after that happened, just nothing came of it. I don't know if it's just the writing style, but I didn't feel connected to any of the characters. I didn't like any of the characters. They're just like all a little bit strange, and the scenario's not entertaining. I honestly don't even know where this book was going, but I just don't care enough to keep reading. So I'm DNFing that. So yeah, it just was not for me. Those are the books that I've DNF'd lately. I hope that that was useful in some way to you, but stay tuned because I need to decorate this place and I think I'll probably take you along for that. I've like waited so long to do it because I don't know what to do with this space. And by that I mean it's a little bit smaller than I'm used to and I have less to work with and I just like I don't know. There's also this weird trim. Let me show you. See that trim? It goes around 3 of the 4 walls, and I just don't know how to work with it really. But yeah, that's all that I have for you today, so I guess I'll see you next time. If you want to check me out anywhere else, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, links in bio. Anyway, I'm gonna go. So thanks for being here, and I will see you next time.